This is going to be another alcohol versus water experiment, but I'm going to use all new materials. The things that I'm going to dye with this time are Brazil wood sawdust, cherry bark. Now remember, we did cherry sawdust last time, but this is actually cherry bark, so this should give us a slightly different color. Canary wood sawdust, and yellow heart sawdust. Again, this is something I've not used before, neither have I used the canary wood. So I know that I have 20 grams between two different skeins. One's the 100% wool, that's the basically Cascade 220, and one is the cotton wool. So I'm going to weigh out 20 grams into each one of these little things and put them in the little jars, and then we'll pour the alcohols over them and the water over them, and I'll be back in a bit and show you about that. Okay, we are ready to put the liquids on top of our sawdust and wood chips. So this is for the canary wood. This says it's water, and so what I'm going to do is basically I'm not going to fill the jar all the way up. I'm going to fill it just enough to cover the sawdust. We just want to get it wet and keep it wet. So, and I'm using hot tap water because I want it to really get wet. Now, this is going to go ahead and steep overnight, and then I will put it in the jars with the yarn in the morning. So, let's start with this. Now, the Everclear. Again, I don't want to fill the jar up if I can help it, because this stuff's expensive. I had to on the others because the sawdust was bigger pieces, so it took more volume. But this here, obviously, just is a little half. And I'm just going to put enough in it to top it. And again, I will put this to sit overnight so that it can steep. And then the last one is the isopropyl alcohol. Now I'm going to finish the bottle that I started last time. Now this is 91% isopropyl alcohol. This is not the 70%. Oops, a little bit much. That's okay. Won't hurt it. And so I'm going to let this sit overnight and steep. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of the jars, which is yellow heart, cherry bark, and Brazil wood. So I'll go ahead and get those done, and then we'll pick this up in the morning after this has all had the chance to sit overnight. Alright, part 2 of the alcohol comparison dyes. Today we're going to be doing 4 different dyes than we did the last time. So let's go ahead and get started. Like last time, I will be putting everything that's in the jars into men's hankies, and I'll be tying them with ties, and then we will put them in half-gallon jars, add hot water, and put them outside. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get started with the first one. First one is Yellow Heart with Everclear. So let's go ahead and take this off, and we want to pour this into there. Okay, I'm going to take some hot water, rinse the jar out. Okay. Then we're going to pull this together and tie it up. You could use rubber bands as well. I just tie them. I've got a big bunch of acrylic yarn that I use for ties on yarn bundles, and and for labeling or tagging stuff and everything, and they're just really handy this way. So I'm going to bring over a half-gallon jar. These are just canning jars. They're pretty inexpensive. So we're going to put this in there. I'm going to pour the rest of the liquid very carefully in. And I'm going to top this up with water. Put my yarns in here. The red stands for Everclear. The YH is Yellow Heart. And I have a wool and a cotton wool blend. So we'll put these in here. Seal it up. Give it a good shake and set this aside. And now I'm going to go ahead and get all the rest of the 12 done. So, phase 2 of the alcohol comparison dyes is in progress. Can't wait to see how these turns out. We have Yellow Heart I've never done before, Canary Wood I've never done before, and Cherry Bark I've never done before. Now I have done Brazil Wood, and I know what colors Brazil Wood could give you. Lovely. Can't wait to do that one on the stovetop method, because with the different Mortons you can get some lovely, lovely, lovely colors. So yeah, those are all started. As you can see, it's really foggy out here today, and it's very, very, very humid. So we're supposed to get pretty much cloudy today, but that's okay. Starting tomorrow, it's supposed to be sunny, and yeah, we'll see what happens for the next week. I know I've been really thrilled with the first set, so we'll see what the second set does. Talk to you later. Well, the week is up for the sun teas that I put out there. I kind of wanted to show you what some of the results were. Yellow Heart. Either it's not going to be a good dye wood, or it's not good for sun tea method. Of course, we will be doing the stovetop dye pot method. Hopefully we'll get more color out of it then. Now, Canary Wood, which is also known as Tulip Poplar, the water obviously doesn't have really any color in it at all, but the alcohols have a lot of color. Now, it's milky looking, and if you look, I think the yarn definitely has an orange cast to it, so I will definitely be pulling those out and washing those later and showing them to you after they're dried. I'm curious to see what the color is actually on the yarn and how strong it is. Again, we will be doing the stovetop dye method on these too. Now, the cherry bark, the color isn't nearly as strong as the cherry sawdust was, so the heartwood. This is obviously going to be a really, really pale. But again, I'm going to do the stovetop dye pot method, and we'll see if that brings out any color. And then Brazil Wood. This is going to be the third set of yarn I'm pulling out of this. I'll show you the first two here in a bit. But this dye pot is just awesome for sun teas. This pot, well, these two, all three of them actually just gave color and gave color and gave color. And it still looks like there's color in there. Oh, look, there's a lightning bug down there. Anyways, yeah, I can't wait to compare this yarn that I'm taking out, which is the third batch in this, with the first two. So I'll show you those to you here in a bit. So we've done the second series of the alcohol experiments, and I wanted to show you the results. 3 of them, 1 of them was great. So we got to remember, I've never dyed with Yellow Heart before, and I've never dyed with Canary Wood before, and I've never dyed with Cherry Bark before. So there's 3 experiments for me, and I've never seen Yellow Heart or Canary Wood ever even dyed with. So let's take a look at those first. the canary wood. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. This is cherry bark. Everclear, isopropyl alcohol, water. Now, if you look, they're pretty much the same. So, yeah, when I do the stovetop method, testing these out, I'm just going to use water. So, anyways, that's the cherry bark. This is the canary wood. Everclear, isopropyl alcohol, water. The water was almost clear. You really couldn't tell that there was a whole lot of color in it at all. But Everclear, isopropyl alcohol, water. So that's what those look like. Now let's look at the yellow heart. Now yellow heart, this sawdust is like screen yellow, which surprised me that I got very little color. In fact, the water looked like it had no color in it at all, and it's a little yellower than natural, but not much. The Everclear and the isopropyl alcohol, there was some color in the pot. It almost looked like a barely pink lemonade, because there was a little bit of a pink cast to it. Did get a little bit of yellow, but again, not really what I was anticipating. And so there's the three of those. Again, I'm going to do the stovetop method on this because I want to see what this comes out. Now, here's the cool one. Okay, let's put these in order. Okay, Brazil wood. Holy cow. This one shocked me. I've done some experiments on Brazil wood before with using Everclear, and it seemed to make the dye pot last longer, but it's not coming out that way this time. For one instance, this is the Everclear, and the pinky purple is the cotton wool blend, and then the really gorgeous pink is the wool, 100% wool. So that's Everclear. Isopropyl alcohol. The isopropyl alcohol is darker. And then water. I honestly think the water turned out the best. So there was so much color left in the jars that I decided I wanted to try a second vat. So I stuck more in there. And it really turned out more so this time that the Everclear is lighter. Here's it compared to the isopropyl alcohol. It is quite a bit lighter, and then here again is the water, which again is darker. So the water is turning out to be the darker color. I mean, look at the comparison between it and the Everclear. Huge difference. So there was still some color left in the jar, so I decided to stick a third one in. I want to see how long these jars last, because to be perfectly honest with you, I'm looking at these jars and I'm thinking, I want to see what I can do with a fourth series. So I've got to wind off some more yarn and get it soaked and everything. But here's what we got. Everclear, isopropyl alcohol, water. Now, if you could see the difference in those colors, lighter, not quite so light, much darker. And it's funny, this one here, actually the two alcohols are actually a little bit more peachier. They kind of have a little bit more oranges, whereas the water still has quite a bit of reds in it. Like I said, I can't wait, but I think I'm going to try a second or fourth series of this here, and I'll let you all know and everything. But yeah, these here, the Brazil woods turned out to be a really, really good dye. Can't wait to see what it looks like in the dye pot. Yeah, because and I also want to see, check light fastness on these, because Brazil wood does fade over time, but I just want to see how fast it fades and how much it fades. I've got some Brazil wood that I did, gosh, probably 15 plus years ago up in my cedar chest, and it's pale, but it's like some salmons and peaches, and it's not ugly colors. I mean, they're just paler versions of what I got from here. In fact, they're paler than these, but they're leaning more toward what I got with these. I mean, look, you can actually see a nice little lavender in there. So we got lavenders and pinks and salmons, and that's one thing I like about Brazil wood is you can get a bunch of different colors. So anyways, that's the conclusion of series 2 of the alcohol dye experiments. And I'm already getting series number 3 set up. So let's see what we can do with that one.